Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl Benadie, the Wholeness Guide. And in today's episode of Wholeness at Work, I want to share my secret to becoming future fit. Stay tuned. So, what does it mean to be future fit? Let's keep it simple. Being future fit simply means that you are being proactive today to hone your skill sets, to be proactive so that you can adapt to tomorrow's changes. You can describe it however way that you want, but that's just a simple way for you to understand that being future fit just means that you are present and active and intentional about the way that you are preparing yourself for the future. So my secret to being future fit might sound simple, but in practice, it takes a long time to master. Are you ready for it? Here it is. If you want to be future fit, you have to become a proactive problem solver. I'll repeat that for those taking notes. If you want to be future fit, you have to become a proactive problem solver. And as I say that, I know there's a few people thinking, Cheryl, what do you mean by being a proactive problem solver? Well, let's say that you start your first job and you're fresh out of university with all these ideas in theory in your head, and now you have to apply that in the real world. So depending on your personality and your approach to your first year of work, you may or may not be active in the way that you take on tasks. You might be passive in the way that you take on tasks. So you wait for someone to give you instruction. If you need help, you're scared to ask for it. You're never really sure of what needs to be done. And what I found in a lot of environments is that managers are busy, team leaders are busy. So there's a new person coming into the team. Everyone says, hi, this is where the coffee station is. This is the rules for working from home. And then you have to join meetings, and it takes a while for you to get out of that bubble of what's really going on here. And people try to explain to you, but for a long time, you're still a bit confused. And that will happen every time you start a new job, by the way. But becoming a proactive problem solver means that you start approaching your tasks, not just from a linear perspective, like this is what you have to do, but looking at it a bit more broadly. So what does it mean to be future fit? To prepare for your future is very difficult because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. It could be something good, or it could be something bad, or a combination of both. And if you've lived for a long enough time, it's probably a mixture of both. So how do you become proactive in your problem solving? Number one, it's important to understand that the world needs problem solvers. So regardless of your political reality or what age we find ourselves in, we will always need people who can solve problems, who can look at a problem and say, how can we fix this? What can we do? How can we move things forward? What's needed to look at something creatively and come up with solutions? And also to be willing to try something, to fail at that, but to keep going at it and to keep trying until we come up with solutions that work. All companies, all organizations need people who are problem solvers. And once you enter into the world of work, you might have this notion that things will be easy because that's what you've been told while you've been studying, is that just go to university and then get a job and everything will be okay. And the first year, that's not really true. The second year, the fifth year, and you think, what's wrong with this story I've been told? And I think a lot of young people are feeling that. That's what's coming up in a lot of the training sessions that I do with young people and young professionals. And so I try to help them to see that there's not one single story of work. What may have worked for a previous generation, which was go to university or get a job if you haven't been able to get a degree for whatever reason, and you have a profession, and that's what you do for your whole life, and you retire at 65. That's no longer just the only path that we can follow. There's other people who have a very clear intention on becoming financially independent early on. So they do get the degree, they do get a job, but they are very intentional about how they invest money and how they live their lifestyle very frugally so that they can retire at a younger age and do the work they love to do. So all I'm saying is explore other options. There's not just one way to approach work anymore. So becoming a proactive problem solver requires three fundamental things, and I want to unpack that. The first one is being accountable. Being accountable simply means that you are a person of integrity in the workplace. You show up and you say you're going to show up. You take on a task and complete the task. You bring all of yourself to the world of work. You engage, you connect, you communicate, you speak up. And I know that's a process. When I started out, that was not the way I started out. I stumbled into it. I was really grappling. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting young people as they make this journey into the real world. So being accountable means that I'm working even when no one else is watching. It means I'm developing my own work ethic. It means I'm actually seeing this organization that I'm working for, this company that I'm working for, as if it's my own business. So if I had to employ myself, would I be happy with my performance, or would I be tempted to fire myself? That's a very important question. When I started my own business in my late 20s and then had to go back into employment, I was very grateful for my salary. I never took it for granted ever again. I started asking myself the question, how can I work so that if this is my business, I would be proud of myself? That's important. Being accountable is going to help you to become a solid problem solver. Number two is take initiative. There are ways that you can speak up in the workplace. I know sometimes it can be intimidating when there's other people who've been there for a long time, or they've said, we've tried it before, it didn't work, or people say, it's not my job, I don't want to do this. Be careful of the culture that you enter into, that you don't just succumb to that. So you don't just like, if no one else is working or they take long lunch breaks or whatever, you think, oh, well, this is just the way it is, because that's dangerous. You can be lulled into a sense of not caring. And actually, every day that you're working is a it's a day of your life you'll never get back. Okay. So you're investing time there. Yes, they're paying you a salary. So make the most of that time. Take initiative. See how what you're doing is interconnected to how it can help your manager or help another team or actually support a customer. Understand how the business works. A great book I recommend for this is 10% Entrepreneur by Patrick McGinnis. And a lot of young people and mid-career professionals are having to look at side hustles, having to build their own ventures, because we can no longer rely on one single source of income. So taking initiative means that I'm going to maximize my day. I'm going to see, okay, here's a problem perhaps with the way that we're dealing with customer support. What is the actual problem? Maybe I can contact a customer or speak to someone that I have a relationship with and say, listen, how can we make it better? How can we improve this system? Often there'll be things that you maybe want to suggest that the environment or the institution doesn't always create a space for that solution. So working in higher education, for example, is often bureaucratic. So while you might come up with a solution that you think could work well, the environment or the systems don't allow for that. So, okay, you've learned that reality, but you can apply the innovation in another way. So be accountable, take initiative. The last one I want to emphasize is leading yourself. And this is such an important one. When I was in my 20s and stumbling and felt like I didn't really have access to mentorship support, and I think people still struggle with that, I started reading John Maxwell books. I read a lot of his books in my 20s because I knew I was lacking that. I didn't know how to lead myself. The examples of leadership I had in the workplace was not always great, and they will never be perfect. So being accountable, committing to personal growth, exploring your purpose, what makes you come alive when you do it. Your 20s is really a time of exploration. It's to figure out, what kind of work do I love to do? What kind of work am I good at, but maybe I don't like to do that? What kind of work do I hate that I want to avoid in the future? Work is not just one thing, it's multiple facets, okay? It's like the word love. You can love ice cream and love your partner. It's a different nuance there of what love is. So work is something we have to understand and interrogate and develop for ourselves as a framework. So becoming a proactive problem solver will make you someone that is sought after, We all have a signature work. People will remember how you interacted in a team, whether you were positive, whether you were always complaining, whether you were just absent. They remember that stuff. And while we think that we're working in isolation in an organization, the world is big, but also very small. So people might remember that. And the next time you apply for a job, they think, oh no, I can't hire that person. They were not good at this organization. So there's a lot of ripple effects that our lives have when we start working. And of course, we don't start out perfectly. We're all growing. There's imperfections in that. But maturity comes from being open-minded, from developing a growth mindset, from saying, I want to learn and grow, and take every job that you have as an opportunity for you to learn, to develop skill sets. Because once you leave that job in maybe 2 to 5 years, you take that with you. Yes, they paid you salary over those years, but you've now gained skill sets. You've gained expertise. You started building a network that you don't know how further down the line, that's actually going to be something you leverage in your life. I've seen that after 25 years of working, people that I've lost contact with over years, and suddenly again I'm in a different space, in a different group, and I see this person again, and we remember each other. And yeah, so that's how you build your network. That's how you build a legacy. That's how you build connections. Becoming a problem solver, becoming known as someone who solves problems, is what is going to make you marketable, is going to be something that keeps you future proof. If you can really actually prevent yourself from the future, you can't. So I know it can be scary sometimes, especially if you're just starting out and you're not too sure about what you're doing. I want to tell you it's okay. Breathe, take it one step at a time. It's going to be okay. Life isn't all that scary. It's difficult and challenging, but build a safe support system of people that can support you. Look for mentors, even if it is YouTube people, the Wholeness Guide, whoever it is that is resonating and giving you insight and advice to help you. Hold on to that. I just want to encourage you that you can do it. You have talents, you have gifts, you have abilities inside of you that the world needs. So allow yourself time for that to be unlocked. It's okay. Day by day, you are making progress. I hope this episode has encouraged you. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or on social media if you have any questions. If you've liked this episode and you'd like me to come and do a talk or training with your team, please reach out to me in the contact details below. Have a great day, and we'll chat soon.